Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Edith Bedard. Today we'll be talking about the first-time homebuyer incentive, the program that the federal government has put up to be able to make buying home for the first time affordable. So I'll give you the broad stroke of the program so that you can understand it a little bit better. And I suspect that you should take some notes on a few items that I will be making or unveiling to you, simply because some of these details are pretty important. And when you walk and work with mortgage agent, you want to ask questions about these particular topics. So let's start by saying that the first-time homebuyer incentive was really put together to make first-time home buying more affordable for people. And it is available to all people across Canada. There is $1.25 billion that have been put aside for funding. And we suspect this will take us until potentially 2022, at a rate of around 50 requests for the incentive per year across Canada. It's not a lot, but that's what we calculated. Again, it will depend on the value that each request will be holding for, either 5% or 10% of the value. With that said, let me provide you with the description of first-time home buyer. Who does it apply to? What's the description? So first-time home buyer is really, could fall in three categories. The first one is obviously people who have never purchased a home before. The second category would be people that have not owned or lived in a house that was owned by themselves or their spouse or partner for the last 4 years. So that's the second category. And the third category is for people who are breaking a marriage. So either in a separation or divorce situation, then we can apply this particular incentive to purchasing the next home. Even though you may have owned a home while you were married, the government has made an exception for you. So with all that said, the program takes a few things in consideration to qualify you. So we know that the maximum income that you need to have is $125,000 of income per household per year or less. And if you have a guarantor and that guarantor has an income coming in, that income will be taken into consideration as well. So that's one of the notes you want to write down in case you are taking a guarantor on board when you're making that purchase. So income is important. The mortgage value or the purchase price is important. And the mortgage versus the income is one of the calculations that this particular program uses to qualify you. And next one is the total debt service ratio, which is a normal ratio that we use and calculation that we use when we qualify individual. But we need to use the mortgage to income calculation as well as the total debt value ratio to be able to qualify you as a whole. So I recommend that you do work with a professional in the mortgage industry to do the calculation and see what you can afford or can qualify with this particular incentive. So who is this incentive most beneficial to? There are specific categories that we have identified, And unfortunately, most of the people within the Calgary, Toronto areas, unfortunately, the maximum purchase price is well below what the purchase price are in these areas. So people that live in these areas may have to looking at areas that are much further out. So Cambridge, in the Toronto area anyway, Niagara, Hamilton, Cambridge, Orangeville, Keswick, Brantford, places like that. In Vancouver, well, obviously you'll have to really look at much further out, maybe Port Coquitlam. Sorry about that. But people are living in the Atlantic area, or Windsor, or Sudbury, or North Bay, or so I'm going to stop here. But in the smaller communities where the value of the homes are less, then there's potential for you to qualify easier. So people that have total debt service ratio that are too high. So if your total debt service ratio is too high at the moment, by implementing the incentive and recalculated your debt service ratio, it may fall in line. So that might be something that could potentially be used. The next set of people that this particular program could be of benefit would be people that would be willing to purchase in, for example, Orangeville, but work in the Mississauga area and have to travel a lot on a daily basis. Yes, the cost would be higher for traveling that distance. However, with the incentive, which gives you less money to pay out on a monthly basis, it may make it more affordable for you to purchase at that point in Orangeville. So this is just an example out of my head. And then the third, obviously, people that would be applicable is anyone who's separating or going through a divorce, and due to having children, you still want to have a home, and you be able to have a down payment due to the equity being paid out to you from your spouse, and you need to move into a new home. Then we can obviously do the calculation and see what you could qualify for with this incentive taken care of. So a couple of things to be aware of is that this particular incentive is a loan to you, and when you will be going to the lawyer to be able to secure the financing, the lawyer will need to put a second lien on the property for the value of the incentive or the loan given to you. So essentially, on your title of the property, you will have two liens against it, one for the regular mortgage and one for this particular loan. Which that means that a second point is your lawyer's cost and fee will be higher, because that firm will have to put two liens on the property, and that is typically more expensive. So you may want to ask that question when you approach a lawyer for taking advantage of this particular program. What would be their rate based on the fact that they'll have to put two liens on the property? And then also double check with your insurance company as far as putting insurance on the property. Make sure you let them know that there will be two mortgages, or two lien against the property, and see whether or not they would accept to be able to give you insurance coverage if you have two liens on the property. Some insurance company will not do it, so double check. And then The next one you want to pay attention to is the fact that when you use this incentive, it can only be used with a standard regular mortgage agreement. And unfortunately, most of the banks are offering us today a collateral mortgage type of agreement. And that gives them the ability to put a lien of a greater value on the property. So for example, if the property, let's say the mortgage would be $100,000 and the value of the house would be $175,000. And the bank offers you a collateral mortgage. Well, the mortgage lien on that property could be 125% of the value of the property. So well above and beyond the value of your property. And with that, there's no more equity to be able to put a second lien against the property. So the government was smart in some ways to make sure that this kind of loan will not be placed under a collateral mortgage, but more a standard type of mortgage. So for more information, you can email me that you want more information about standard versus collateral mortgages, and I'll send you an article about that. Now, some people may ask, how about repaying this particular loan? Yes, you can. So most people don't really stay in the same home for 25 years. So repayment of this particular loan can be done at the time of refinancing. And what will happen at that point is that you will be repaying the capital, the amount of the loan that was given to you, as well as there will be an appraisal being done on the property to be able to assess the appreciation, the value of the property, and a percentage of that value will also have to be paid back to the government. So just be warned that it can be paid, it can be refinanced, but you'll be paying a little bit more than just the capital. So just be warned. So I hope that these details have been helpful to you. If you have any question, as I mentioned, about collateral mortgages, standard mortgages, or even total debt service ratio, it'll be my pleasure to assist you by providing you with answers to your questions or sending you some article. So send me a quick email at edith@edithbedard.com. That's my email address. And ask me what your question is, and it'll be my pleasure to assist you. All right. So take care, and thanks for joining me. Have a great day. Bye-bye.